Xbox. What was your take on how this process evolved and the idea of, hey, Bethesda joining Xbox, becoming part of the same team? What were your thoughts when you first started hearing about it?
In a lot of ways, it was very similar to what Todd just said. Always from the beginning, whenever we were thinking about our plans or our vision for gaming or what we wanted to do next, you guys were the first people we called. Like, we would run things by you. We would have really great discussions about the vision for gaming, the future of Xbox, and in a lot of ways, it was something we formed together. And one of the things we did out of that, right, is you guys were early supporters of Game Pass, and you worked with us, and you gave us feedback, and we got to just see together the incredible value it creates for both players and creators. And that really was the natural evolution that created the opportunity for this awesome partnership for us to come together and be on one team. And so, just how you say, you think of the future of gaming, and you didn't see a future of gaming without Xbox. We just didn't see a future for Xbox without Bethesda.
Now, we know you all have a lot of questions. We've gotten a lot of questions since we announced this deal. But one of the biggest ones, Phil, is this question about exclusivity and how do you think about that and how that's going to work with Bethesda?
Yeah, I see it. I see it in the community. I listen to the podcast and all the questions. So I'm going to try to be fair because I just think it's fair. So obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive. We know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building. And the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox.
And whatever's making
okay, Sarah, so Phil was just talking about Game Pass and how important that is to Xbox. You're obviously heavily involved in Game Pass. Talk to us a little bit about what folks can expect here in the near future.
Well, we're just getting started, right? But as part of that, one of the things that we're excited about is starting tomorrow, 20 games from Bethesda are actually going to be available in Game Pass, which is just awesome and represents the beginning of,
What?
Excited about is starting tomorrow, 20 games from Bethesda are actually going to be available in Game Pass, which is just awesome and represents the beginning of, the collaboration across our team. So we're actually going to be posting this in social. People can go check it out. All the games are going to be available.
New Vegas, but
this is the beginning of some great things to come.
Currently, it's not.
And to be clear, that's across all of our studios. We've got 8 studios around the world. Every kind of game you could imagine, RPGs, first-person shooters, no matter what you're into, you need to check Game Pass tomorrow because, man, there's an awful lot of content going in there. And I think folks are going to love it.
You think about the future there. I think what people don't appreciate, consumers see Game Pass as like, just give me games.
Accidentally Starfield on
I have
Game
lots of games. But then as a creator, it really unlocks some things that maybe you wanted to do, or will this find an audience, or there's certain types of games that maybe in the past could kind of get lost sometimes. And having that kind of avenue to make a game and release a game opens up so many things, a lot of things that our company and all our studios, they really, really love to do. So from the creator side, it's also just, awesome.
Well, I have a coworker that literally has gone on and on with me about Fallout 76 and saying I went in and started playing Fallout 76 and when it came into Game Pass, and I've been thrilled with the community and just like how supportive it is, and it's like arguably one of the healthiest gaming communities out there, especially for new players, and that's been a great benefit that hopefully having more players in that community.
It really is, and 76, while you mention it, is something where it's another sort of point in my mind with our relationship where when that game launched, the litany of issues we had, and we let a lot of people down.
Whatever's inside.
And, well, there was very little we didn't screw up, honestly. And one of the people that I called was Phil. And I said, hey, there's so many things we're dealing with. What advice do you have? And he put me in touch with some people at Xbox who were able to look at all of the games in the system and what was important and what wasn't important to the other games that made it for the long haul. And that kind of advice really, really helped us. And now, seeing 76 be one of the most played games on Xbox, we're just, incredibly fortunate to be there.
Yeah,
It's not
Game
the best
Pass
Skyrim.
allows creative freedom, and
But I'm glad
that we
he
have seen that with
acknowledges
all of
that
the
there were
creators that
issues
we've
as
worked with Game Pass across the ecosystem. It's one of the things I think is most beautiful about it, is it actually gives you access to an audience that you may not have otherwise been able to reach. It's helped games that people may have never discovered actually get played, and it's actually empowering creativity.
People kind of felt like Bethesda was ignoring the fact the game wasn't playable at all.
Games is a big part of what we do here and how we interact with our fans. But I think the way that
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it's about dialogue, right? It's about a two-way conversation with our fans, and we never want them to
I remember
like
when the
we're
biggest
talking
thing I could do was a compliment.
that does nothing for them.
He doesn't want to a copy. Let's see if I can cheer you up.
Or in person, it's about the experience. Who do they get to talk to? Who do we get to talk to? It's not about just,
PlayStation controller.
churning a certain number of people through a kiosk to put their hands on a game. I mean, that's obviously an important part of it, but I think we look at it as the people are just as important as the games. And having the opportunity to work with you, Aaron, over the last few months in planning, it's just so refreshing to see how aligned we are in our approach to treating fans.
I agree. I'd just love to say, it's been incredible to see your obsession with fans and how much you kind of start there about putting yourself in the eyes of the gamer and how they'll react to things and how you've shaped things, how you've thought about things, and how you've not been shy about telling us, less of this, more of that.
I have not been shy
it
at
makes
all.
us better.
I think we had a little fight over email in our first 2 days. No, it was. We tell it how it is. I think authenticity is a big part of who we are too.
Aaron.
I won.
Yeah.
I definitely won.
Good stuff.
Todd, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that you preached a lot when I first got here in '99, which is the willingness to throw stuff out and start all over again. You sort of champion this idea that you can't be beholden to any feature that's in your game before. And when you hear Phil talk about how rapidly things change in this industry, I think a lot of what we do as Bethesda comes from you in terms of your approach to development and being willing to try new things to push boundaries.
Yeah, one of our mottos in the studio, and it came in the company for a while, is great games are played, not made. You can have the best design. This is a genius idea, but you never know how it's going to feel. Like that, what makes something fun in your hands. And when we think about the future of games and our ability to make them, that doing this together and this kind of partnership, and it's going to sound cliche, like they believe it or don't believe it, but we have a firm belief that we're going to make the best games we could possibly make by doing this. So whereas I think it's great to have all of these games that are one umbrella, what does that mean at the end of the day to the games we're looking at? It's, for us, they're going to be even better than the way we were going to be. That's the ability to have everything Xbox, everything that we've done in the past, solve those problems really the better.
Something I want to build on there. Our aspiration is for millions of people experience the great games that both our teams build and our partners. Through the power of console, PC, xCloud, and continued growth that we have, my aspiration, my goal, my hope is that the next games that come out of Bethesda will be the most played games in the studio organization. It is about reaching players. It's about games that are played and finding those players wherever they are. Continuing to expand the great capability of gaming to more and more people. That I think is just that's going to be so fun to watch. And it's more and more we do things that Bethesda's capable of building.
Hey, Sarah, so when Phil starts talking about this ecosystem and widening the number of people that are able to play games like ours, obviously as somebody who's in charge of partnerships, that's a pretty giant undertaking in terms of the number of people that you're now dealing with. What does Bethesda being part of Xbox now do for you in terms of the partnerships that you're making and how you're able to grow Xbox beyond its current boundaries to something much bigger and broader?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like this fundamental acceleration to our vision. Like the ability to actually make it possible for someone to play Bethesda games, on any device, if it's PC, if it's console, but also a mobile device or any other type of smart screen in the future is just incredible. And, partners look at you guys partnering with us and they feel even more passionate about that vision. And so it dramatically accelerates our ability to just reach players around the world.
Can I jump on that a second? Like, for us, our old games, seeing them get out, they used to worry that, like, unlike movies or other forms of entertainment, gaming has this technology barrier where can I experience the old ones? And I think gamers, I hope they appreciate, but they don't appreciate much the technical marvel that the backwards compatibility is, and the fact that you could load up Oblivion, first game here, Internet, Loki and I were on together, and run it in 4K on your Xbox now, and that's on Game. For a creator to have that still have life is just awesome. And the team are already working on adding FPS boost to soon. That's Dave and soon. But that's right. Full advantage of hardware and get things like FPS boost is.
Oh shit! That's amazing. So we did say that we were going to be like light on news. This is not, but we talked about Game Pass, and folks are going to want to know, like, hey, when are we going to get some information on what you all are doing together now that you've started? So, Los, Greedy, what can people say?
Well, one, I want to get some space on thing, but
I like it.
We've been having lots of discussions.
We are deep in planning mode, and it's been awesome because even as we've talked about content, about how to produce things, like we actually use a lot of the same teams. We think about the same way.
And I thought the Fed of Police was the handsomest one in the family.
Historically, it was like three, event or whatever. Put on a show, you do a thing. Like that takes months and months of preparation. And so we are in that planning phase. We are looking at content. We're thinking about content. So now that we are officially one team, sort of jumping now for us to more accelerated pace. But
Greeny's dancing. He's not giving an answer. We'll
have something this summer.
This summer. Yeah, stop, Bill, this summer! Woo! You heard it from Losi. You're going to hear this summer. Yeah. We're gonna
summer officially ends when? I want to give
whenever. It's all over the globe. We're going to let Sarah and Todd get back to work. And we're going to be joined by Matt Booty, head of 6 Months Game Studios, and Todd Mullen, Vice President of Development, right after this community spot.
Now we start on Elder Scrolls 6. We know stuff is coming out before. Dude, that's big. They literally said they wouldn't be
our fans are the most important aspect of our games.
This is their world. We created it, but it's their world.
Yeah, I wonder when are they going to make another...
It is pretty amazing to have a community that's been around for this long.
This community is full of so many passionate people.
There are people who love the games that we love. They're very important to us. The community inspires us to push ourselves even more.
They're not just players, they have to become your friends.
Each time we make a new game, they're there, ready to jump into these worlds and experience them with us. They're a family in a way, and this becomes the Bethesda family, and it's not
show the card.
Look back. That was a look at some of the amazing fans and their creations around our games and studios. And what a great segue. Games and studios is what we're going to talk about. Joining us from Washington is the head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty. Matt, welcome. Hi, Pete. How are you? Good, Matt. For those who may not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about what you do, your career, how you got to Xbox. Tell us about Matt.
So I've got the great privilege of working with all our teams across Xbox Game Studios, all great people. Coming up on 11 years here at Xbox, working with Phil, and had good fortune to work on things like bringing the Xbox and also many of the studios.
kind of the catamari of studios that basically you've added. How many studios now to the Xbox studios? 6? Yeah, well, we've grown quite a bit. We're 15 now. Wow. That's what I thought.
Damn.
That's the only one I was told I was allowed to use during this. So, well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here. And also with us is my longtime friend, the man who's responsible for me being at Bethesda. Todd Vaughn recruited me into Bethesda back in 1999. Our senior vice president of Todd Vaughn, TV. I give you the biggest unknown secret in this industry. Your team. And I want you to explain to folks who you are, when you got here, your background. I actually started in Gaming magazine.
The bigger they are,
And
the more I
got
have to
recruited
stop
to
them.
join then Bethesda before ZeniMax. It was right. And I joined Bethesda to basically, scout games and to be a Bethesda to help publish it. And it's one of those phenomenon where once you get the vision, you clean them, you start going down that path. And I ended up being a lot more involved in the production and development. And as ZeniMax was forming, Robert came in and started ZeniMax and had a mission and an agenda. And right out of the gate, the first part of that mission was to really set up our internal team, Bethesda Game Studios, and put them on a path of success.
Matt, I want to ask you, when you look at the kind of studios that Bethesda has and the kind of games that we make, what is it about what we do that resonates with you and that makes you feel like it's such a good partnership? And we've been sitting here talking about what a great partnership it is. But from your perspective, head of development, you get to work with all of these studios. How do you see all of those things combining together in sort of a common DNA?
If you look at some of the commonality of all the studios that we've acquired over the last few years, I think the thing that stands out is that so many of them are creator-led. The founders are game designers, the founders are game creators, and most of the culture flows down from that creative aspect, from that game design aspect. I think Todd Howard said it earlier, games aren't made, they're played, right? And I think that resonates with most of our studios. As we've been having sort of get-to-meet-you calls and spending more time with all of the Bethesda studios, it really has stood out that that's the same for your studios, that they are creator-led, they're design-led, and they also have such a focus on the players and bringing the players into that design process, making sure that once a game is out there even, that as it evolves and as it grows community, the community being such an important part of what we do these days, I think that's another real similarity. It's got a real fan focus, real player focus, and that connects all the way back up to the top where all of our studios really start first with the creator, the designer, and the game idea.
I think as part of that, Matt, a lot of people don't realize, but you've set up this structure as you've added Ninja Theory or Obsidian or NXI, all these different teams, like to allow them to have almost like stay in a bubble so they still have that ability to go create what they want to make. Like, we don't tell them what games to make, but how would you describe that environment and how you've learned from the Mojang piece? And then how will that apply as we think about integrating the Bethesda teams into our first party, Xbox teams? How do you kind of think about that and how that makes better games?
I think back to the Minecraft Mojang days. I think we were just a few days into it, and our CEO, Satya Nadella, said something, I think it was in an email, he said, we have as much to learn from them as they have to learn from us, and that always has stuck with me, that our job isn't to come in and sort of force a culture on them. Games, I like to think about, it's almost like a greenhouse, right? The environment in which they're designed is so important, is so critical, and the last thing that we want to do is upset that. So there's very much a keep your ears open, keep your eyes open. What do we have to learn from this group of people that have been making games for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? There's obviously a lot to learn there.
We were talking yesterday, TV and Pete and I, about synergies between studios, and I obviously, having worked here for a long time, know about a lot of them. But he was even bringing up stuff that I didn't know about, collaborating and learning from one another. And TV, I was hoping you could just share how we operate and share tech and ideas. I think it's pretty interesting.
It frankly has evolved organically. I think that idea of sort of like central planning and everybody,
being given or provided directly from central sources isn't quite the right approach, especially as how we've grown. We grew organically. We added teams over time. They came in with different bits of knowledge that we really didn't know. Some groups had and some groups didn't. So we had to kind of figure things out as we went, and it led to sort of a lot of little happy surprises and collaborations that, frankly, you wouldn't plan for. There's some little-known facts of like teams who've worked on other products. Machine Games is probably one of our most successful teams from a collaboration standpoint. They probably worked on everything
Pretty much at this point.
Even before, I think it was probably either right before or when we were acquiring Machine Games. They were already working on Skyrim. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. There's an enemy that's in Doom 2016, the Tango Man, that I don't think anybody realizes.
Including Losi and I.
Yeah, that's the one that I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything.
And a lot of our...
Hi. Hi.
secrets that we have, like, so oftentimes it's like, if people have some downtime, some cycles, they'll want to participate or collaborate, and we share them easily, across teams, and allow them to do that directly. Then we have the more, obvious ones, like Arcane Leon and Machine Games collaborated on Youngblood. It's a lot of collaboration.
And I think it largely stems from them. They're just fans of one another's work, right? Like, it's not that you...
What's going on?
Said, okay,
I don't know what to do.
Over here.
My friend Halanos
we'll hear from a lot of those studio heads later today, and I think that you'll see that and hear that in their own words about really admiring one another's work, and that it.
How are you?
Does.
How are you?
If you value your friend more than your drachma,
Feel like a family.
You wonder how low.
One of the unique things we do that most folks don't know about, Aaron, I wonder if you want to tell folks about it, is like what we do at the midwinter meeting, and that every developer and how they present, that's...
If they were close enough to the island, they might have been forced into a bay. I checked the coast.
You can't hear? Really, you can't hear?
Really, you can't hear.
hopefully the sea will...
I thank you for doing this, Mistios.
For me, they really are the best meetings because all we do for an entire morning is review work in progress, a lot like Aaron was just talking about. So everybody brings the latest bit they've got. We kind of cycle through all the studios. Sometimes it might be early concept work. Sometimes it's actually playable material. And it's just a great chance for everybody to give feedback. You know, hearing about the midwinter meeting, I think it was November 2019 before we stopped being able to travel, but we had all of our studio heads together, and I remember just